Hello everyone, it's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and I am back on this last day of June to share with you some of the pieces that I have created from this month's Beads of the Month Club, more specifically the Hot and Trendy Beads of the Month Club that I received for this month with the theme called Tropical Dreams. And in that unboxing video, if you haven't seen it, I will link that in the corner. But in that video, I had shared that I would be back later on this month to show you some of the finished pieces that I created from those beads. And I have put together some creations from beading patterns by other talented artists, as well as a few things that I've put together myself. And I still have the quantities of beads that you see below left over, so there's still potentially a lot that could be done with the remaining beads over and above what I already am going to show you. Now, if you're interested in the Beads of the Month Club, they've got all different ones, and I suggest going on their website to find out all of the specific details. And I also have a coupon code, it's Opal10, that will save you 10% off the first month of whatever club you decide to pick up. And I will leave that as well as the link to their subscription right down below. So in that club, I received 8 different types of beads, from one-hole beads to multi-hole shapes. And with these pieces, I'll tell you what came from the subscription box and what came from my personal stash. And I'll also share with you who the designer is behind these pieces if it's not myself, and where I went about finding these designs. So I want to kick it off first with the Ivy Trails necklace that is designed by Isabella Lamb, and this came from a book that I own called Creative Beading Volume 13. It's on page 102. I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. I highly recommend the Creative Beading volumes from Bead and Button magazine when they were still in operation for getting a lot of inspiration and ideas from all different designers about what to do with your beads. So as far as the beads that came from the subscription this month, of course, we have the 12x7 leaves that you can see that are hanging along the bottom. And then they didn't come in this particular theme, but I also get the 2-hole Beads of the Month Club. And that theme was called Turtle Beach. And it contains some of those really interesting green super duos that I incorporated into this design as well. This one also includes some 8mm pearls, 11 8-0 and 15 seed beads from my stash, and 3 and 4mm crystal bicones and O beads also from my stash. So a lot of different beads going on in there, but I thought it was a great opportunity to use so many of those leaf beads and try out a new to me design by a different beading artist. So this is what the cover of the book looks like, and I'm going to leave the information for the books and patterns and artists that I share right down below the video also, so you can get your hands on these books or at least know what the patterns are called that I'll share today that I got from these other sources. So this is Creative Beading Volume 13. It's full of all sorts of designs, but here is page 102 and then going on to 103 and possibly beyond, where we have the Ivy Trails necklace, which went together beautifully, I might add. It was a well-written pattern and a great opportunity to use a lot of leaves if you have them. My next design comes from the Irresistible Cabs necklace designed by Puca, and this is one that I modified to be able to use the quantity of beads that I had. I didn't have quite enough Arcos beads in this club to fulfill the entire chain of the necklace, so I stopped a little bit short, but the main part I used with the instruction and everything and went with colors and supplies that I had on hand. So this design comes from Creative Beading Volume 14 on page 184, and that is what the cover of that one looks like. And here you can see my modified version of the design. I didn't have 3 cabochons that matched exactly that were in the right sizes for the pattern, but I was able to find ones that coordinated, and I do like how it all came together. I have the 2 smaller golden brown cabs that are Lunasoft Lucite cabochons, and then the one in the center is a peacock design that came from Potomac Beads quite a while back. And so this one really shows off the Arcos Park Puca beads, these lighter colored ones that came in the subscription box. And it also gave me an opportunity to use these super Cheops beads, which you can see surrounding the bottoms of these cabochons, which I haven't really played around a lot with. So that was a great opportunity for me to practice with those. And those had also come from Beads of the Month Club, just not in this particular month. So I just shortened the length of the actual necklace using those Arcos beads, and I added some larger chain because I figured that it stood up to the size of this focal in the front, and used that to extend out the length of the necklace. I wanted to go ahead and show you the backs of these necklaces too. I added one leaf down here off an extender chain as an extra artistic detail, and then I found a coordinating bead from my bead soup box to add to the back of that extender chain, which is something I love to do with odds and ends I have laying around. And finally, since this design is quite complex, I just wanted to show you what the back of it looks like. If you're curious, that's how the design ended up coming together. And this was another well-written pattern that I didn't have any trouble following along with. Next up from Creative Beading Volume 14, once again, I have the Zinnia pendant this time by Zsuzsanna Erdei. This one incorporates those really interesting laser-etched dagger beads, some of the Cali beads, and then a lot of these Rizzos, which actually came from a previous month of Beads of the Month Club, I believe. The center of this pendant incorporates an 18mm crystal Rivoli stone, and I've also used some 3mm fire polish beads that surround that Rivoli and some seed beads from my own personal stash. This pendant design can be found on page 78 of this book, and there's some other color options for you too, another excellent design from Creative Beading. Here's a closer look at the front of this pendant so you can see more of the details and the Rizzo beads that are just really interesting. They have that white opal in the background, then also that sort of vitriol metallic that shows up on parts of them, and lots of texture going on with this pendant. As you can see, there's a look at the side and then what the back looks like, and you can see it even used some of these super duos back there in the very back. So I just simply added this to some chain with a lobster clasp and an extender and added one of the extra daggers I had on hand as a detail on the extender chain. And then next, I have the Cali earrings by Elad 2, and this actually came from the Beads of the Month pattern page that we were provided for this particular month. Every month with an active beading subscription, you get access to 3 new patterns that you can download and or print. And a lot of times they'll go along with some of these more adventurous shapes, such as this case using the Cali beads for these Cali earrings, which came in the monthly subscription. And then I combined them with some 11/0 and 8/0 seed beads, as well as some 4mm bicones that I had on hand. So this was a great way to use a lot of Cali beads in one project. They went together pretty quickly. And I didn't have enough of one color of bicone, so I decided to accent the top and the bottom of this design with another color, which I'm actually quite pleased with. I'm glad that that actually worked out that way. The ear wires are from my stash. And then if you want to get a look at the side and the back of these earrings, you can see there how they kind of all came together. And overall, I think they kind of have almost a basket weave or like a rattan woven look to them. They're pretty cool. The next 3 pieces I have, these are ones that I just came up with on the cuff, if you'll excuse that terrible pun. And these actually include 3 different beads from the club this month. I have the Arcos, I have the little yellow flowers that dot up the center, and the bow tie beads, which were another 3-hole shape that were new to me to play with. And then, of course, some seed beads from my stash. This is a more substantial, wider cuff-like bracelet, and I finished it off with this 3-loop sliding bar clasp, as you can see on the other side. This next bracelet is also one that I came up with just through playing around with my beads and what came in the package. You can see some more Cali beads there. We also had some of these 3-hole bridge beads. There's more of the bow ties. And then I pulled some gold 11/0 and 15/0 seed beads from my stash, as well as some 3mm shiny gold Preciosa bicones. And I think they give that a nice bit of sparkle under the light. So this is one where I created these components separately and then I strung them all together and used those bow tie beads to pull those larger components together. And I'm really happy with how this one came out in particular. And this one I also ended with a 2-loop sliding bar clasp. And this is my final design, which is so close to being done, except for the very back of the necklace. I needed to get this video posted today, and I didn't want to rush through the back, and I figured there's enough here for you to see most of it anyway. And this one includes even more of those dagger beads with that laser etched design. You can also see that I incorporated the table cut hibiscus flowers going up the length of the necklace, and I encased them with a herringbone rope using size 11 seed beads from my stash. And I basically left these openings where the flowers would go, and then I would rejoin the beadwork and continue on in these closed areas and then leave another space and so on. And that's how that came together. These flowers are components I actually came up with late last year, and I haven't shared this design yet, and I really need to do that. It creates this kind of open hole in the center of these dagger flowers. It also uses a lot of the Rizzo beads, which pop up in the Beads of the Month Club from time to time. And I changed it up from the original one I had created some months ago and incorporated some more common beads into these, including some 3mm bicones and some 8/0 seed beads instead of some other ones that were a little bit more fancy, shall we say, some that are more costly and maybe not everybody has. And I do hope to share these designs in the future. I wanted to give you a look at the back of these pendants and how I pulled this all together. These strips right here are just simply herringbone stitch that is flat, not in the rope version. And I just connected those through the seed beads that I have on the back. And I'm still debating as to whether or not I want to add something going across, maybe even a strip of beads diagonally behind these flowers on the back. That way they don't spin around on you. They're pretty secure and I don't think they'd move that much, but they still have the ability to pop out of these sections of herringbone. So I'm toying around with that and then also finishing off the rest of the rope. I'm going to keep extending the herringbone rope a bit longer to make this necklace length longer as well. So that is everything for this finished jewelry update, brought to you by the beads from the Hot and Trendy Beads of the Month Club that I received. I hope this provided you with some fun inspiration and ideas to inspire you to play around with your beads and perhaps seek out new patterns or play with new beads that you haven't played with, and maybe even color schemes that you wouldn't normally put together. So all these pieces, and I still have a lot of beads left over from that club. It's really amazing how much you actually receive, especially when you first initially just look at the 8 small containers. But once you actually start working with them, it's amazing how much you can do. I highly recommend Beads of the Month Club. Many of you know that I've gotten them and shared them for now a little over 4 years. They've been so consistent and have a lot of different options depending on what type of beadwork you're into, and also how much you want to receive every month. So definitely check out their website, which I will leave down below, and use that coupon code OPAL10 if you'd like to try them out for the first time, and that will save you 10% off your first club during your first month. Also, if you were interested in any of these designs by other artists, I will leave that information right down below as a reminder. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave me a comment down below, sharing anything you'd like to say. If you enjoyed checking out these pieces up close, definitely give the video a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And feel free to share this video wherever you like. That's all I have for now. I want to thank you all again so much for being here and being such a great source of inspiration to me to keep going and to keep sharing these projects. I love having you here and I can't thank you enough. I can't wait to share lots more with you in the future, so I hope to see you again soon. I want to wish you a great rest of your day, and as always, happy beading.